CEO and chief bottle washer, as they say.
Well, there are other small businesses in the room, so they know.
Yes, so you are also a small business, so with that, we gave you about a half hour, so we're running behind, but
Okay.
take the time you need on this, and I'll give you the hook if you run too long.
Good.
Thank you. Thanks.
So the perspective that I'm going to talk and come from is you now have a growing concern. You've been in the SBIR program, you've been successful, you now have a small business, and you're really ready to, kind of take that next step and go start working, more broadly with some of the prime contractors. And so I'm going to talk about it from the perspective of what is it that they're going to look at when they start to evaluate you. They're going to look beyond just you as a researcher or you as somebody who's done successful SBIR programs. They're going to look at you from the perspective of, do you have a viable business that can, that can help them kind of deliver with their objectives, deliver on to the customers that they have. What makes me qualified to talk about this position? I spent about 15 years with a large prime. We were number 15 in terms of federal primes. And in that time, I spent about a decade basically putting together solutions where we were evaluating many small businesses and looking at which ones we needed to team with, which ones we thought were too risky to team with, and trying to deliver on things that we were bidding on. And here's what I've come to. That if you look at what your prime wants, they're looking at it from a couple of different perspectives. One is, can you help them with their P-win? Because in a lot of cases, you're meeting them at a time when they're actually contemplating bidding on some other work and integrating you into that proposal. And if they don't see a clear value proposition from the standpoint of you're helping improve their P-win, it may be a difficult sell for you. And then the other thing that they're going to be looking at is risk, because they're being evaluated by whoever it is they're submitting that proposal to based on risk. And certainly they don't want to add you to the team and you become the weakest, the weakest link. And the weakest link could be both from a technical performance or it could be from a security perspective. And so you're going to have to, speak to what it is that you've done to make sure that you can help them mitigate that. And at the end of the day, your ability to be able to execute, to be able to have rates that make sense, to be able to control your costs, to be able to know that if they're breaking off a piece of the work and giving it to you, that you have adequate infrastructure in place that you can deliver based on the way you have bid to them. And so we're going to spend a little bit of time talking about that piece of it as we get into the conversation, because obviously my company actually builds essential infrastructure to help you basically deliver better on that dimension. And then the last thing is, in some cases, they're coming to you with the idea that you're going to help them as well get the appropriate resources that they need to be able to deliver. Let's face it, I'm going to say something that's not that politically correct. In some cases, there's some labor arbitrage going on. Their rates are a lot higher. They got a lot more overhead and G&A and indirect costs. They're coming to you because they need the resources that you have, but they expect to get them at at a much more attractive price, because then that makes them much more attractive. So the way I think about PWIN and what, sort of I've come to, and again, I've sat in this seat for many years, and when I'm talking to small businesses, I look at it as sort of the intersection of really three things. Do you have a differentiated functional or technical capability? Can I find on the program that I'm executing on a role where you're going to help me by having you on the team that's going to help me tell a better story to the potential customer? Number two is, do you have some customer intimacy? Do you have knowledge of the customer? Do you have knowledge of the customer's business? Do you have knowledge of the customer's pain points? Can you bring that kind of insight to the table that will help me win? And it doesn't really matter. It doesn't really matter if we're talking about a technology program or we're talking about some other program that's more mature. That's an important factor. And then the last thing is, do you have past performance? Do you have, you come in, you claim you can do X, Y, Z. Have you done it for someone else? Do you have a past performance potentially that we can use? And putting our proposal together, is it differentiated enough so that it is going to add value to the PWIN that I'm looking to build? And I think when I talk to that bullet point, I'm also talking about, do you have the essential infrastructure that if we decide to team with you, we're going to do it in a way that we're not increasing our risk, both security risk and technical performance risk. And so I've seen a lot of small businesses I've been involved in. I could probably tell you stories. They came in, they had the customer relationship, they had the technical capability, and we bid them on a program where we had to operate at a very fast pace. We had to operate many locations, and we just simply blew past their infrastructure and their ability to manage. And so at the end, it wasn't a good experience for us, and it wasn't a good experience for them as well. And so kind of knowing where you are on the spectrum and getting prepared so that if you are successful and improving that PWIN and you're successful in winning and partnering together, that you have the ability to be able to deliver. There's a lot in that little green space there. So let's unpack what the checklist looks like. That they're probably going through as they start to evaluate you. Believe it or not, I mean, they're talking to many small businesses, and they're either physically going through this checklist or mentally going through this checklist and stack ranking you guys. And so here, security is becoming more and more of a concern. And so they want to make sure that if they're giving you sensitive information, that you have adequate, infrastructure to be able to protect, that information. That you have a track record of good CPARs on the work that you have, and that goes to really to your past performance. There aren't any ethical lapses, because again, a lot of this stuff you might think it may be only relevant to what happens inside of your company. A lot of it spills out, and so they are going to look for those kinds of things and making sure that you got a clean record of operating as in an ethical way. And then the other thing is, do you understand risk? When we talk about what the risks are for the program, you understand what they are, you understand how to mitigate, those risks. So this is more about now maturing your business, beyond just being able to do research, to really being able to now work with a prime and kind of think like they do and execute like they do.
And that CBAR, is that something that we should have gotten for our contracts?
It's something that your contracting people, normally your contract technical representative, would complete a CBAR, for you. It's not something you actually can. You can request it, but you can't. They write it.
Should I haven't seen it before? Should I need to request it?
Yeah, you can ask them for it. Sort of there are no-go gates as well, and kind of a clean, Dun and Bradstreet record, a credit line, because again, they want to make sure that you actually can operate, you can perform on the programs that they're going to have you work with them on. And then I'm not gonna cover all of these. The last two that I really want to mention is that you have to be able to really look at being on the same page with them pricing wise. I mean, you can't come in here and they're expecting you to fit in their team, here. That's typically a non-starter. And so I think knowing your costs and knowing how you're going to be compatible, with them, and having that discussion early on is going to be important to being able to have a successful outcome. Because I've seen companies where we want them, they got everything else, they're great, we think they're great, and then we ask them for, what are your rates? And we're like, we don't know how we would integrate them onto the team. Today, many of you, depending on your size, might be operating in a mode where you don't have to spend that much time on the accounting side, the cost accounting side. You might have a deal where you have a firm fixed price that you're working on, or you might have a T&M. But eventually, when you get to that third phase, you now are going to have the infrastructure to be able to really report out your costs and be able to segregate your costs. And so that becomes a very, very important, component. Again, I've seen many businesses get into difficulty when they get to that, phase. They've done everything right. They've got the technical capability. They've got the past performance. And now you're asking them to scale up and give you the kind of data that you have to, as a prime, that you have to give the government. And sometimes that becomes, a difficult objective to meet. And so I'm going to talk a little bit about some of the things that you need to be thinking about as you start to take that next step, because hopefully that will be an important part of your evolution as a company and how you grow your contract base beyond just SBIRs. You will need to be able to have some essential infrastructure that can deal with these two issues. And so what are some of the approaches that we've seen companies deal with and or implement when they have to deal with these issues? You might start off with some homegrown systems. Certainly you can make that, that work. Probably doesn't scale that well over time. All the way to letting somebody else worry about it. You just say, okay, I'm going to outsource, the issue. That'll be a good strategy depending on where you are. But if you are going to really eventually become part of the supply community in the industrial supply base, then you're going to have to build out some capability in this area. There are solutions, out there that kind of fit into the realm of, ERP. I think some of those will be very expensive for you to implement in the short term, given where you are, maybe in your evolution as a company. My firm actually produces an alternative to that type of solution that can be done very cost effectively as well. And I just want to talk a little bit about some of the things that you need to be thinking about, and this is more food for thought, that will kind of help you prepare for that stage that you're going to take and what you should be looking for. Because one thing that's happened pretty dramatically over the last 4 or 5 years is technology has advanced so quickly that we can offer some pretty sophisticated solutions to this problem of security and compliance that maybe weren't available, just a decade ago. So think about what you want to be able to do, and as you actually take on thinking about the essential infrastructure, is you want to be able to have a back office that is, kind of highly automated. And typically, the way to get there might be having point solutions that could do your time management, your expense management, your procurement, your accounting, your HR. A better approach would be to look for solutions that have that integrated, that you can get into early on in your evolution of your company, but aren't so expensive that it just makes you unattractive rate-wise. And so, one of the things that we've done, we've thought about that as a company, and we offer really a suite of applications that allow you really to digitize your back office. You buy what you need when you need it, and then it allows you to operate more effectively to be able to meet some of the challenges that we just talked about. And so, think about this. Think about it like this. You set your business up. Maybe when it was just a small group of researchers, you set the business up such that you could do a lot of stuff with spreadsheets or forms that you created, maybe when you did an expense report or when you did a timesheet. And that met the need. But now you're approaching a prime contractor, and they need the data instantaneously. There are going to be many data calls on you. And so what you have to be thinking about is at what level of digitization do you need in your back office? Because it does two things for you. Number one, it allows you to be able to respond to the accounting and security issues that you might have. But number two, it will allow you to be more cost effective. Because ultimately, to move those spreadsheets around, to move those paper forms around, you need people to do that. And if you operate your business that way, and don't think about this digitization solution that's out there, it ultimately is going to put you in the wrong place rate-wise. So, again, I'm not gonna go through all of this, but again, our solution is designed in such a way that it takes your back office, gets it into the cloud, has a Dropbox-like capability so that you're not managing a lot of paper, has a workflow capability so that you can move data around very, very efficiently, and will allow you to be able to really leverage this in a way that is going to make you more competitive when you really have to start to bid. This is an important part of saying you have to the prime that you have a way to scale and you have a way to show that you've been thinking about these things, you've been maturing, you have some proven, management. The other thing,
Ron, these are also, as I mentioned earlier, ways for you to become more attractive for the DoD to give you a Phase 1 award. They don't have to. They'll grade you on your company. I mean, it's part of the score of who you are. And if you don't have stuff in place like this, which is all, by the way, allowable costs on your SBIR, you get this paid for all this to get to manage it because they want you to have this. So something important to think about.
again, I'm going to be kind of non-political here. I've 25 years or so in government contracting. Pretty large company. I've seen hundreds of bids and put hundreds of teams together. In some cases, the primes are using the small businesses for labor arbitrage. Okay? We got to get to a different place cost-wise. And our overhead is what it is. We built factories, we've got fancy office buildings. But we're bidding on a program that is important to us. We need to win it. And the only way we can win it is to get some small businesses who can help us lower our costs. And so you don't want to lead with that. But realize that that is an important lens that prime is looking at you from. Now, if you're very sophisticated research and you're doing cutting-edge technology, yeah, that's probably not the case, that you could be the low-cost, provider. But in many programs, we're not doing cutting-edge research. That prime really wants you to help them get to a different place, cost-wise. So what do you need to do? We're in a 2 to 3%, unemployment market. Do you think that you can have a very inefficient back office and be able to now help them meet that objective? No. So again, the digitization of that part of your business becomes very important to give you a competitive position that's going to be helpful. And so we've thought about this. We thought about this as a key value proposition to the small businesses. And I won't bore you with all the details, but we have some technology that can help make you more effective in driving your costs to a different place as it relates to the resources that you have to find and effectively deploy, with that prime contractor, because it's real. I mean, politically they probably won't say it to you, but they're looking for you to help them cost-wise. And so I've covered really the things that that I wanted to talk about. I certainly would open it up for any questions that people have. I know it's after lunch. Go ahead.
So what kind of costs are we looking at in terms of putting these systems in? Because it's slightly costly at the same time. We don't necessarily have the guarantee that we're going to be getting the contract, et cetera.
So we've taken that into consideration, that the model has changed. Everything is moved, or at least our model is based on SaaS. Everything is in the cloud. You install no infrastructure. You just need a browser. So you make no investment in servers or any of that, and you pay a very small fee per month per user. So again, and you pay for what you use.
So, if you exclude things like bookkeeping, and maybe you exclude the contract documents, what else would you need to include?
Depending on where you are in your evolution, you're going to be, at some point wanting to get a contract or a subcontract, that contract and subcontract is gonna have mods. You're gonna need to track all of that information. So there's a contract management capability that you need. Your prime is going to require that you be able to give them project status information. Because you're performing maybe on a task or a couple of tasks that they've integrated you on, and they want to know, how are you doing? How much cost did we plan? How much have you expended? And so you need some kind of project tracking, project cost management capability. If you're on a program where you're buying stuff, let's say, you have some, cutting edge, research that you've done, but at the end of the day, you've got to manufacture something and you got to put it together and you got to sell it to them as a sub-assembly, then you're going to need a procurement capability as well. And there are certain, especially when you get into the government market, you can't just go out and buy from your brother-in-law. There's certain rules about how you have to put competitive, bids out. You have to source a little different way. And so you need that capability. Obviously, you have people that you have to manage. You have subs that you have to manage. You have 1099s that you have to manage. So you need some kind of HR, recruiting, tracking, system that will allow you to be able to do that effectively, because it could be part of your bread and butter with some of your subs. With some of your primes is really to help them find people and get them onto the program. If you have employees, you got to pay them. So you need some kind of procurement system. So what we're talking about really is beginning to think early about the essential infrastructure, because when you have that conversation, a year from now, you're sitting in front of that prime. If you haven't built that correctly, number one, he's going to see you as too much of a risk, and number two, depending on how you built it, you may or may not be as cost effective as they need you to be. Does it
integrate with common software like QuickBooks and Microsoft Office?
Yeah, so Microsoft Office, yes. QuickBooks, we can extract information out of QuickBooks, but this is a complete cost accounting system. It does indirect rates.
Okay.
Yeah, which you have to do that. If you were using QuickBooks, you'd have to do that outside of QuickBooks.
What's the difference between your system and ADP?
So ADP is probably the market leader in payroll and HR. So we have payroll, we have HR. At the low end of the market, meaning 500 users and less, we are both using the same payroll engine. There's a company in Arizona that makes it, and the OEM and licensed it to Paychex, to us, and to ADP. Now, when you get to beyond 500 people, ADP has its own product. But our suite of software is built very differently. It's built as like an operating platform. So the core of the product is a workflow engine. And so now what I can do is I can have my subcontractors, my employees, my customers, all seeing the same view of the data, and I can integrate them through the workflow. And the workflow, it runs on the phone. So you as the manager, you have to approve an expense report, you have to approve a timesheet, you have to approve a vendor invoice. You do it through your phone.
Is ADP plus SharePoint is
Well, yeah, you could look at it, but really integrate it. I mean, so if you take on SharePoint, you now take on you need some IT people.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah. Other questions? All right.
Thank you, Ron.
I appreciate the opportunity to come talk to you.
One of the things I think is interesting, their system is scalable, so you don't pay for what you're using. Importantly, I think, I have talked to people all the time, don't wait until you definitely need it tomorrow. If you're planning ahead, hopefully applying for many SBIRs, within the DoD world, it's not unusual to try to win 5, 10, 15, 20 SBIRs at DoD over the next 5, 10 years. That's how you build technology within DoD. You're not going to build your whole company off of one SBIR, most likely not. There's usually volume, there's scaling out different uses of your technology, different parts and different components. So you're thinking about growing, and this is a system that will allow you to grow. And it's hard to do that when they say, we want to give you a contract, show us the system you're using. Oh crap, I got to get that system going in place now. So I always say, do this stuff early on and try to grow with it, so it's not something you're having to jump back and do, and you have to do so quickly that you're trying to find a teaming partner. It doesn't happen in 2 days. As they said, it takes at least a couple weeks to do these things. So thinking in advance to do that, I think, is more important key than some of this. And the costs, as I say, they're allowable costs in these contracts.
Hey, Rob, one more question.
Yeah.
Can you guys ensure we're gonna be DCA compliant?
We are. So the software follows the